here to spread love all over the world. I'm here to spread love all over the world. All over the world.
So I've been participating in Sydney nightlife probably a few months after I turned 18. My brother took me out, it was a great experience, and I've loved it ever since. The lockout laws have not affected me, just because when they were in place I was 15 at the time. But now that I think of it, when I reflect on my stories compared to my brother and his stories of him going out because he's much older than me, reflect on the stories of my cousins and how they went out, it's sort of not as fun as theirs.
I've only been attending nightlife since I turned 18, so not very long really. The last time I went out and participated in nightlife was a few weeks ago, in fact. We went out, had a couple drinks, realized, oh, it's almost 1 o'clock, time to skedaddle.
Real fire. In order to prove it, I will burn this child. I hate her. Oh, you laugh at that? You don't laugh at the Queensland joker. I don't know what kind of audience I'm dealing with now, yeah?
I've been going out every night since 2017. So usually it would be Fridays and Saturdays. Usually we would like to go on Fridays because it's free entry and cheaper drinks and stuff. So mostly 2017, 2018, we've been going out a lot, but not so much this year. The 2014 lockout laws has been very annoying, honestly, because let's say you get kicked out from Watershed and you want to go to Pontoon, which is just across the harbour. You can't go to Pontoon because the lockout laws prevent you from going in, which is 1:30. And the trains in the city, they stop running at 12 or 1. So if you get kicked out at 12 or 1, you can't get home. So you just have to roam about in the city. So the lockout laws are pretty annoying.
I don't necessarily agree with the lockout laws. I feel like they could be a lot more relaxed. I think in terms of economically, they've damaged a lot of businesses. Pubs, clubs that have been in the Sydney CBD area, I just don't think it's the same anymore for them.
They're ruining a lot of the night economy. A lot of businesses have to close down because of this. For my brother, he has had to find other jobs because he can't work in bartending places anymore because they're all closing down.
If you're a wealthy investor and you're willing to put enough money into a club, that's the only way it could probably survive.
I try not to go out too often, but yeah, it does have an effect. I guess I kind of agree with the lockout laws, but at the same time not really, because I like going out and not having restrictions, but at the same time keeping people safe is a good law.
I think the lockout laws are trying to fix issues with people getting hurt or getting, I think people say king's punched or something.
King hits, violence still occurs no matter what. No matter where you are, it doesn't matter. I've seen it everywhere. I've seen it in broad daylight. You know, it's no matter where you go, you're going to always see a brawl.
Young men want to come in, get on the drink, and some of whom, and a minority of whom, play up.
They were scenes so violent, patrons thought it was a terror attack.
For a teenager attacked in Sydney on the weekend, died in hospital.
When the violence spilled onto the street.
There are still security concerns in the CBD.
A move certain to reignite the emotion-charged debate.
I think it's effective to a certain extent because clubs are not the only place where you can drink. There are bars, there are pubs, there are other places who don't have lockout laws like Watershed. So it's effective to a certain extent.
There's a lot of information and a lot of evidence, research out there that's shown that, you know, like there's heaps more ways that could prevent what the politicians want to do, but they just don't want to like improve that. And so now it's affected Sydney, their culture that we used to have. And it, you know, you look at, I've gone to Adelaide, I've had parties there, and I've gone clubbing out there, and it's way better. And you know, Adelaide is not notorious for that. It's Sydney that is, and now really we're ranked real low for it, and that's really disappointing.
I believe that the government can't really do much about this, apart from what they're doing already. But people are not too happy about that.
For the government, it's important for them to just really try and isolate it. And I just think they could do better, like, you know, taking on suggestions from the public, people who have been in this industry for years and years, because they've been observant to this behaviour. Give them more funding and in terms of research, and looking at how other countries, other cities that, you know, are popular for their nightlife, how they handle these sorts of violence and alcohol-fueled behaviour. Allowing a lot more clubs to have no lockout laws, because in order for a club to have something like that, they have to pay a substantial amount of money. And I think that's what I think ran smaller clubs down to the ground, and what really just finished them. So maybe removing that fee, so it could be a lot better.
The government can fix it without implementing lockout laws. One way can be restricting alcohol intake, or have more policemen patrolling, because what I realized when I got to the city at night is come 11, 12, 1, there's not many police officers walking around, and so anything can happen. No one's there to help you. So I think that the government should have more police officers around in the city.
The government themselves, I just think they assume that the lockout laws was just an easy way to just cut it, but it's not. It's left a lot of people unhappy, and you know, there's unhappy people now. They had a say in the recent elections, and you know, they got a real big backing. So you know, 97,000 people across New South Wales wanted to keep Sydney open. I think Sydney could definitely bounce back, but it would take some time. It took a lot of time for the nightlife to sort of get to where it was. It was really crazy in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. But because of that placement, it's sort of just stripped away all of those businesses and all of those, you know, like those individuals who really invested into the music industry and that culture. I think with culture, I think it's a very gradual thing and to build to. But in time, you know, maybe when I'm in my 30s or like my late 20s, I could see that if they were removed now, but probably might not see it. Just depends on, you know, what New South Wales government wants to do with that, with, you know, with their funding and with their time and what their priorities are. So
I'm here to spread love all over the world. I'm here to spread love all over the world.